Hello and welcome back to Gridiron Gurus. My name is Luke, and joined with me is,
Ryan Green.
and today we're doing Week 8 NFL. So we're talking a little bit. We might start switching up some of the upload stuff with some of our. We might talk about that later at the
Yeah.
end of the episode. So I don't know if this is our final prediction or whatever, but we'll figure that out. But no teams on bye this week,
Yep.
so lots of games to get into, and we get it started with a somewhat solid looking Thursday night football game. Can't be much worse than what we saw last week.
True.
We have Minnesota going to LA to play the Rams. Obviously, Cooper Cup didn't play last week, but he was activated last week.
hmm
Puka got activated this week. I don't think he'll play this week, but I think Cup will. And there also came a thing out that Detroit is not Detroit. The Rams are trying to trade Cooper Cup.
Yep.
And they also are in talks with the Vikings apparently for Matt Stafford. There was a thing that they said today that the two teams are in serious talks, which is ironic because they play each other. They could just get Matt Stafford on the plane, after the Thursday night football game. Say, hey, just take him with you.
It's a trial run.
Yeah. But Minnesota at Los Angeles, I'm going to take the Rams to win this game. I don't know. We talked, I think, off air last week about
hmm
how we think there's a chance the Rams can make a run here. Getting some of their playmakers back, getting healthier. This defensive front is nasty. Now Minnesota has a really good offensive line, and I know there's like a weird dynamic with the secondary of the Rams being really bad going against a really good offensive playmakers in the Vikings, but it's kind of the same thing I had last week with the Cardinals, saying, "Oh, I just think the Cardinals are going to win," and they won. I think the Rams are going to win. I just think that they're just going to pull it out somehow. Sean McVay magic.
Plus, also there's also the thing about the team that plays the Lions will lose the next week. I am actually going to go with the Vikings. And I was like I said, I was going back and forth with this pick, but it really comes down to the Rams offensive line against this defensive line. I do think that if if the Vikings can get pressure, especially on the edge with Van Ginkel, with Grenard, and not have to blitz against Matthew Stafford, that would pick them apart because that's what Jared Goff did. They blitzed Jared Goff, and Jared Goff picked them apart. I feel confident enough in the Vikings offense that you have a good offensive line, you're going against a really good defensive line, but that secondary, it concerns me. And so I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm going to love streaming this game. Me saying that now means it's going to be a bad game, but you know, I'm going to have the Vikings. It's going to be a very, very, very close game. A little bit of a higher scoring game too.
Yeah. Next we have a pretty this is a good game. Obviously, these teams are in the same conference, so it's not like matters like seeding later down the line. But Philly's going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati is kind of back on track a little bit after starting out really bad. They're back in the playoff picture. Philly just dominated the Giants, and they've been like underwhelming. It feels this year, but they're still 4-2.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll talk about the Washington later, but maybe no Jaden Daniels. They're very much back in that playoff or in that division hunt. This one's really hard for me to pick, but I think I'm gonna take Philly. I don't trust the defensive line of Cincinnati to hold up. Now, the the center and right guard position for Philly has not been very good. Like them kind of like communicating and handing off. I watched a video on that earlier today. So I think that could be a problem, but I just think Saquon's going to have a big game. These playmakers, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith are back. The defense played really good last week especially the defensive line played really good for Philly last week against everybody knows Cincinnati doesn't exactly have the greatest offensive line in the world. They haven't ever since Joe Burrow's been there. So I think those are just some mismatches and kind of the opposite of me saying that for the Rams. I actually think these mismatches are going to matter, and I'm going to take Philly to win.
And I agree. I think Philly should, like I said, their strengths match up really well against the Bengals' weaknesses. We talked about it earlier. We knew it was a problem going into the season, but it's been continued a problem, like especially the interior. Losing DJ Reader, who is now the Lions, like I feel like Saquon should be able to pound the rock as long as Philadelphia is not stupid. Like they have the talent. They should win a lot of these games that are coming up on their schedule, but a lot of times they just play around. I mean, they played around and almost lost to the Browns, and it was a really close game. Now they went against the Giants. They showed out 128-3. Obviously, Saquon had an amazing game. I think he's going to continue, but I am also thinking that Ameris is going to give up at least 2 sacks. Like he cannot move like at all. Like
Yeah.
he cannot redirect at all. So I think that Philly's going to be able to apply pressure on Joe Burrow, force him to take all mistakes as well. I think Philly will probably coast into this in the fourth quarter. I think they'll have it handled by the fourth quarter.
Next game is a divisional rivalry game. Baltimore
Hmm.
at Cleveland. I'll let you pick this one first, but obviously the whole Deshaun Watson saga
Yeah.
is kind of at an end, I guess. He's done for the season. Very, I don't know if I should say like if it's a bad ending because the
It's definitely not a
fans
happy
loved it.
ending.
It's not a happy. Okay, it's it's not the kind of happy ending Deshaun would have wanted.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's done for the season. I think it's probably the best for the Browns that he's done.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if DTR or Jameis are going to be better. I still think the Browns are kind of like a dead team in the water.
It'll be something
They're
that the fans can actually support, though.
Yeah, they're going to be they will be active in the trade deadline. That's for sure. They've already obviously traded Amari Cooper. There's tons of rumors out there. Miles Garrett, Greg Newsome, Wyatt Teller, Joe Patton. Like they're and a lot of their like kind of older veteran players are definitely in trade talk. So I think Cleveland's team is going to wear it like kind of tear it down. But where are you going with this game, and why is it the Ravens?
Yeah, it's gonna be the Ravens. Like obviously, their offense is a steamrolling right now. One of the problems that the Bears, the Browns have is the fact of like their interior. So I think they should be able to physically dominate up front. I am interested to see how Miles Garrett is going to go against these tackles who have been. Ronnie Stanley had an okay game, and then obviously like Roger Rosengreen, who's a rookie, has looked good in
Rosengard.
some aspect. Rosengart, sorry, has he's showing improvement, but at the same time he's still a rookie. So you have Miles Garrett against him. I think Miles Garrett probably gonna be able to get at least a sack or two in the game that's gonna at least keep Cleveland in it. But I can't trust a Cleveland offense that has nothing now. Like you got Nick
Yeah,
Chubb, which is good. You
he
got
just
like
didn't look that good,
yeah, but he's not going to be able to carry the whole entire offense because
especially with how the offensive line is now. It's banged up, old, and
yeah,
they might trade their best players in the offensive line anyway.
yeah.
Too. I mean, this is a team that's going to be picking in the top 10 at the very least, probably the top five.
I wonder what's the last time you had a the highest paid quarterback being part of a rebuild because
Um,
they're in a rebuild right now.
it's probably happened more recently than you think.
Probably, I'm just probably
Um,
not thinking about anything right
like
now.
wasn't Carson Wentz paid really highly, and then the Eagles did like a mini rebuild.
They did
Um,
more like a retooling because they weren't a top 10 pick when they had him. They
I'm
were
trying
top
to
10 pick
think.
when they had Jalen Hurts for his first year starting. I think 'cause that's when they got Devontae Smith.
I'm
I
trying to
think
think of like all of these. Like, was Derek Carr ever one of the top paid quarterbacks? Because the Raiders kind of did a rebuild with him. Like,
that's probably the closest I can think of. But still, I mean, it's going to be
or
interesting to see
maybe
how
like a Philip Rivers when he was like late with the Chargers. They kind of started stinking.
Yeah, but like I said, it's gonna be interesting to see what the Browns end up doing because obviously some of us fans, the Browns, the Panthers, Titans, whatnot, Patriots, we're already kind of looking for the future as far as like how our teams can look because our season is pretty much over. We're not officially eliminated, but we're pretty much eliminated.
Yeah. I'd tear it down if I was the Browns, but I'm gonna pick the Ravens. I mean, they are on a tear. I mean, they're beating good teams.
Yes, they
Cowboys
are.
aren't. I wouldn't say. I mean, I wouldn't say they're an awful team. I wouldn't say they're a good team, but they obviously destroyed them. The score was closer than it actually was. They killed the Bills, who still look like really good. They beat them by 25. They beat the Bengals in overtime. They beat the Commanders, who are a really good team, surprisingly, and then they beat the Bucks, who've been a pretty good team this year. They're destroying teams that are like good and going to make the playoffs. This is probably right now the best offense in the NFL.
Them or the Lions,
Yeah,
one of
like
the two.
one, but they're really. I mean,
Best in the AFC for sure.
they're probably like the best duo. Derrick
And
Henry is
Derrick
probably the
Henry,
best
yeah.
quarterback running back duo. And their defense is obviously really good as well. Ravens always have a good defense. But I'm gonna take Baltimore. Next game we got is Tennessee at Detroit. Um, Not like super surprising, but I'm gonna take Detroit. I will say, obviously, coming off that big win against the Vikings, Detroit desperately has to get a pass rusher.
Yes.
They did not have pressure on Sam Darnold much last game. I
Yeah,
know
I mean, granted, yeah, the tackles for the
yeah,
Vikings are
I was
really
going to say
good.
I know the tackles are good for the Vikings, but you gotta still get pressure against these really good teams. That's why the Vikings were able to get back in that game. I'm not worried about the offense for Minnesota,
No.
even with Jamison Williams getting a 2-game suspension. They'll be fine. They can run the ball. Jared Goff is playing probably the best football he's ever played. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like he's back. The play calling is really good. I don't know what happened to Laporta, but maybe he gets right somewhere later in the season. But this defense, I like the back end. Brian Branch is playing like a defensive player of the year candidate. Like he's playing excellent. You just got to fix this pass rush, I think, and I think that they'll address it. I think that they'll get somebody for sure. Not going to be Aiden Hutchinson, obviously, but they will get a body. But I just don't think Tennessee offense is going to be able to keep up. I like Tennessee's defense a little bit. I think they might be able
Their
to
run
stop the
defense
run.
is going to be interesting.
I
That's
think
going
I
to be an
think
interesting matchup.
I think that they might struggle to run the ball a little bit more than usual. Detroit will, but I still think they're going to be able to win this game by like 10 points probably.
Yeah, like I
Oh,
said,
the
like
line is 11 points.
really,
There are some big lines this
because
week.
I was thinking,
Nine.
like, that's
Baltimore's
interesting.
favored by 9. Detroit's favored by 11. Jets are favored by 7. Chargers are favored by 7. 9. Denver's favored by 9. Kansas City's favored by 10.
I guess, or I
There's
guess the
a
Raiders.
lot of
There's a
big
lot of
lines.
because that's one thing is like I kind of figure like the Lions will have it handled by the fourth quarter, but they must expect like it's going to be the Lions are up big by halftime that they're just going to cruise
There are
into.
four lines above 9 points.
That's crazy. But yeah, no, the Lions should win this one. Like I said, I'm interested to see how they're going to go against the Titans' run defense, but ultimately, I think Amon-Ra is going to have a great game against this Titans secondary. Where L'Jarius Sneed has not been playing as well as I thought he would.
Bad
And
trade.
yeah, well, yeah, very interesting trade for sure. But yeah, so Lions should win and continue to be leading in the North.
The next game we have is Arizona at Miami, which now is a very interesting game.
Yes.
With Tua coming back. Now Miami, I think, is out of it. They needed to beat the Colts last week to really maybe have like the smallest outside chance to make the playoffs. But they are what are they now? 2-4. I mean, it's not completely over. It's not complete. I thought they had 5 losses. It's not completely over, but you have a margin of like 2 games.
And the fact too that you lost to a team that potentially could be taking your spot in the wild card, like the Colts, for all their faults, have a very easy back of the half schedule, like the last 4 or 5 games. That if they are able to get in at 10-7 or whatever, like they're going to have that win over you. Like this, it was so important that Tim Boyle should not be in the NFL.
Them at 3-3 looks a lot better because here's their upcoming. Like here's the really good teams that they play: Bills.
Yep.
They play the Rams, and they play at the Rams and at the Bills. Then they play at the Packers. Then they play at the Texans, and then they play the Niners, and they also play the Jets twice.
Wait. So they have all those away games in a row?
No. Like I'm just saying, like hard games that they split
Oh,
them up.
okay.
Like they have at Bills, at Rams, then Raiders, then Patriots, then at Packers, then the Jets, then the at Texans, the Niners, at Browns, at Jets. But it's
Okay,
like
okay.
those are all of like the really they play like Bills division leader on the road, Texans division leader on the road. Packers are gonna like be in that division race on the road. Like if they were in the best division of football, it's like it's just not easy. The Rams will be. That's 3 weeks from now that they play the Rams, who should have a lot of their playmakers back in the groove.
Yep.
I just don't like you really only have a margin to lose like 2 games for the rest of the season in order to not make the playoffs. And with that schedule, I just don't see it happening. So, but actually talking about the game, I'm going to take Arizona. I just don't trust Tua in his week back, his first week back. The offense should look better, but it's a bad offensive line. The play calling I don't think has been very creative this year. Um, I think Mike McDaniel might actually get fired after the season. Um,
I had an inkling that he might be on the like the very hot seat if they didn't make the playoffs. But as bad as it's been, they would have to have a second half Brian Flores esque season where they're on a huge winning streak, and I just don't see
yeah,
it happening.
I don't know. I'm in on the Cardinals more than I probably should have. I think Kyler Murray's playing some pretty solid football.
He is,
Um,
yeah.
so
James
I'm just
Conner
gonna,
as well.
James Conner's playing probably the best he ever has. So I'm gonna take the Cardinals to win this game.
I'm taking the Cardinals as well. I think that it'll be interesting to see this Cardinals defense against Tua being back. Obviously, like I'm not saying both of you. Like I'm gonna give it a game before I fully trust Tua being back. He said he's not even wearing the guarding cap or anything like that. So I'm very concerned for him, even though he's going against a pass rush that's not that good with the Cardinals. So I think it'll be a closer game, but I think the Cards are going to be able to pull it out. They're going on a little bit of a run, kind of in a very weird NFC West. It is a very strange NFC West where like they're just switching pretty much all the time.
Yeah. Next game we have is New York Jets at the Patriots. Patriots coming back from
London.
London. Who do you have in this game?
So I'm actually going to go with the Jets. I think that yes, last time that they played, Drake May only came in for like the last little bit. I I don't know. I just have this feeling that eventually the Jets on offense are going to click because on defense they haven't been as good as they were in years past, like especially the last 2 years. But I have a feeling that this is going to be the week that at least they look somewhat decent. Obviously, you're going to have Christian Gonzalez probably matched up on Devontae Adams now instead of what they did the first week. First time they played, they had him on Garrett Wilson. But I'll be interested to see like it's another week with Devontae Adams in that system. Hopefully, he can gel more with that offense because obviously already has a connection with Aaron Rodgers. But I think this is the Jets need to go on a streak to even make the playoffs. They can possibly lose two and still make it, but this is a desperate win in there. And the Patriots are also kind of looking for the future. I
Yeah.
mean, Gerard Mayo even said they were a soft team, so
I'm gonna take the Jets. I think they win, but I don't think the Jets are a good team. And like I'm tired of all the what's wrong with the Jets. Nothing's wrong. They're just not good.
Aaron
Like
Rodgers is 40.
it's not that like something's going wrong. It's just they're not a good team. They're not well coached. They don't have good leadership. They're
They don't have a
old.
good offensive coordinator.
Yeah, their offense coordinator is
Todd
terrible.
Downing,
Yeah, and it's like they don't have, like their offensive line has been very underperforming, especially Tyron
Toronto,
Smith.
Terrence Smith. Yeah,
Like it's just like it's not that they're something's wrong. It's just not a good team. But they're gonna beat New England. They just have a little too much firepower. And I think that the Patriots defense. I don't know if I'd come. I don't know if I expect them to even play good because like getting called soft by your head coach. I don't know if that's either gonna make you play good or play bad.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, like it depends on how they're going to respond to it. But one of the other things too is that I
I
just
think
thought
Mayo's
about
gonna get
was
fired at this end of this year too. By the way.
oh, that's a take. I was thinking he's going to get at least one more year because you could take your tackle to get another top 5 or 10 pick, and then you can fire him after having back to back, you know, 10+
Yeah, but
loss seasons.
you don't want to have Drake May out like just getting killed for 2 years.
Yeah.
But
But the only thing I was going to say is uh, earlier this week, Julian Edelman talked about like people were talking about the Jets and they're like, oh, they saw Brady do it and they thought they think that anybody can do it. Well, the same thing happened with Matthew Stafford, but the thing that is not talked about, and we just kind of talked about it, McVay for Matthew Stafford and Bruce Arians for Tom Brady. Both of those are extremely great, were great offensive coordinators, and also were good head coaches as well. Like you have a terrible situation, you have a disgruntled quarterback, it's going to cause a little bit of toxic environment, and that's the reason why they just haven't been good.
yeah. Next game we have is Atlanta at Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Tampa Bay just lost Chris Godwin probably for the season, and they might not have Mike Evans for an extended period of time. It's just your division. Who are you taking?
Unfortunately for the Buccaneers, I'm taking the Falcons. Falcons are 3-0 in the division right now. If they do win against the Buccaneers, then they'll have the sweep against the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers are the only shot of the Falcons losing this division. Um, I talked about it last night too. The Buccaneers have a very tough stretch these next 3 games. They have the Falcons, they have the Chiefs, and they have somebody else. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But I think
Niners.
there's a chance. Yeah, yeah, they have a chance of losing the next 3 games and having to really fight back to win this division. If you lose this game, I don't think it's going. I don't think it's going to happen. You're just going to be looking for a wild card unless Atlanta absolutely chokes the rest of the season. But Atlanta being embarrassed, they're obviously going to the Buccaneers. I think that Kirk's going to have a better game, especially against this Bucks secondary, who last week didn't have Jamel Dean. I love Antoine Winfield Jr., but there's only one. There's only so much one man can do. I think the Falcons are going to win, but it should be close. Like I said, it always is. It always is close for division games. Um, but Falcons end up winning.
I I'm gonna take the Falcons. I don't feel super confident about it. I just don't think that the Tampa Bay has had a really bad defense this year. For having Todd Bowles, who is a defensive guy, um, their defense has not been very good this year, and I still think Tampa Bay is going to be able to score the ball solidly well, even if they don't. I mean, obviously they're not going to have Chris Godwin, but even if they don't have Mike Evans, I still think they'll score the ball. Baker's been playing really well. They're running the ball. Uh, but I just think that the Falcons are going to be able to get enough stops, and I don't really trust this Buccaneers defense to get consistent stops on the Falcons. I know the Falcons just got blown out by Seattle, but I don't know. I'm gonna take Atlanta to win. Then we have Green Bay. Well, actually, I'll do the other game first, so I can talk about it first. Uh, Indianapolis at Houston. Division game. Houston is technically right now a game and a half up, but they'd be because they beat the Colts week 1.
Yeah.
Colts coming off the win against the Tua-less Dolphins, and Houston coming off of a loss versus the Packers that they lost on a last second field goal. So the thing I'm going to say with Houston, my team, they cannot be a contender with this offensive line. This is a really, really, really bad unit. And like that, I thought that last week was honestly one of the best games D'Amico Ryans has coached. I thought the defense played really well, like as best as they could for really the offense not be. They had like 80 passing yards. Tank Dell
Yeah.
has just completely disappeared. CJ Stroud just couldn't do anything. But also, I think the offensive line, it's just they're soft. Like they have a major mentality issue, and that's because I think a part of it is because Larry Tunsil is a soft player. Like there's the video of CJ Stroud like on the sideline, like after getting hit by Jair Alexander and he's getting up in Jair's face. None of his offensive linemen are coming over to help him. Not a single one. When's the last time you see your quarterback get like killed, besides Deshaun Watson?
Russell
Like get
Wilson.
Yeah, but it's like that's when they hate him. That's when they hate you. Like
Exactly.
you don't.
Yeah.
That's when you're playing terrible. CJ Stroud's an MVP candidate, and you're not backing up your quarterback. And CJ Stroud's never said anything negative about you in the media.
No.
And he like always goes back for you. But I mean, you could see how frustrated he was on the sideline, taking his helmet off, throwing it. He's pissed off because they can't pick up a stunt. Kenyon Green's the worst lineman in the NFL. I mean, that pick, I love Nick Caserio. I think he's a top 5 GM in the NFL right now. The Kenyon Green over Kyle Hamilton pick is the biggest mistake he has ever made and may ever make. Like that is going to haunt this team because Kyle Hamilton would fit so well in this defense, and Kenyon Green, if he starts next week, something's seriously wrong. But like I think Houston's got a bright future. I'm not like I'm fine. It's like we probably can't. I don't think we can make the championship game with this offensive line against some of the other teams we're going to play, like the Ravens. Like I know we beat the Bills, but that was Josh Allen playing terrible. But like the Chiefs' defensive line, it's just we can't do that with this offensive line, in my opinion. And realistically, the only offensive lineman that I don't think is some little like whiny baby is Juice Scruggs. Like he's the only one that I actually am like, yeah, keep him. Like I know he struggled with picking up stunts, but I think a part of that was on Shaq Mason has been terrible this year, and Kenyon Green, like has just I can't say that on recording, but like he's an idiot,
Yes.
and he's terrible. So like the only two offensive linemen that like even are going to probably be on this team next year or should start on this team next year are going to be Laramie Tunsil and Juice Scruggs. Titus Howard tripping over his own feet and letting him a sack is embarrassing. He's been soft. It's also like seeing these guys come in and they're all like dressed out with super fashiony. Like what happened to the offensive linemen that come in like freaking like jeans and like some like rugged Carhartt shirt. Like I don't want to see you with your freaking nails painted or coming in with some like swaggy like freaking overcoat. No, like I want you to look like you just like got off of like a 9 to 5 at the construction site, like bringing in your like lunch. Like it's soft offensive linemen, man. Like, and all the Texans fans are tired of it too, and they're all saying this on Twitter. Like I'm in all the spaces and stuff. Like man, we need to just get some like dog offensive linemen, some guys that just want to like hurt people because these offensive linemen don't want to do
Richie
it.
Incognito. Yeah, no. Richie Incognito is unfortunately retired. See,
Dude,
here's
I
another
would take
one.
him because he at least wants to kill people. Like get some offensive, get some guards that want to knock people's teeth. Like Tate Ratledge, please come to the Texans.
You do have a chance depending on like where he ends up, where your pick ends up going. But
I'm just
yeah,
saying
for
it's
this
bad.
game, the Texans should win. Obviously, like going against the Colts, that more than likely is going to start Anthony
I just wanted to
Richardson. That
rant
does
about the
not give.
Texans.
No, yeah, no. I was letting you, but I was like, okay, talking about the outfits. I was like, but yeah, the Texans should win. Obviously, does Anthony Richardson give the Colts the best chance to win? I really don't think it is right now. Right now, he's not playing the best ball. Joe Flacco is obviously being a lot more consistent. Um, so I think there's going to be some wow plays that Anthony Richardson does make, but at the end of the day, you're talented enough that you should win. I think your defense is going to cause a couple of interceptions because that's what's going to come with Anthony Richardson at this point, and y'all should win. Take a commanding lead in the division, and
Yeah,
like I said, you should be able to wrap up this division in December.
I think we'll win this game. And like I'm not out on it. Like I don't say, oh, we're gonna miss the playoffs or anything. I'm just saying to be a serious contender, we can't with this offensive line. But the good thing is that will get addressed in the offseason. Because most of this team is still really good. Playmakers. If we had Nico Collins in this game, we win. I think also the reason I also said this was D'Amico's probably best coaching job. He's out his top 3 linebackers, and he's still got really good production from linebackers.
Yes,
Like
he
he's
has.
to his 4th and 5th linebacker, like on the team, and he still got a pick from Neville Hewitt, and then the other guy, I forget his name, the white guy. I thought he starts with like a C.
Yeah,
But they both played really solid, and also no Kamari Lassiter in this game was really noticeable because Ross, every time the ball was thrown his way,
he
it was
was
a
getting
completion.
cooked.
He was getting absolutely toasted, and I know Kamari Lassiter struggled a little bit, not that bad.
No,
So like I think the injuries were really just like if we were healthy, like even moderately healthy, we were out our probably maybe our best player in Nico Collins, and then it's just I'm not going to talk about the Texans right now. I'll make a whole other video for that. But this team is still good. They'll still beat the Colts, I think. They just need to get healthy and get some more depth on this team. That's kind of the big thing, but we'll talk about it later. So I'm taking the Texans, and then we have Green Bay at Jacksonville. Green Bay obviously just beat the Texans. You kind of
Yes.
rant for a minute because I've been talking.
Well, not really a rant,
You're
but
not going to rant, but just talk. You talk.
yeah. Uh, we said this a little. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I think I should talk about it off air, but Jaguars are still not good. I think that yes, Tank Bigsby, love and death, Auburn man, and then Brian Thomas Jr. has done an amazing job to kind of show like, hey, at least we got some youth that's been doing well. I don't think it's going to happen for this against this Packers defense. This Packers defense obviously is going to probably have a couple of turnovers. Evan Williams has been doing really well working with Xavier McKinney. That safety Tana's been really good. And I think overall, like they're a much better team, especially on offense. You got Jordan Love. I think he's going to be able to do pretty well against this Jacksonville's defense. That's I think. Are they still not going to have Tyson Campbell? I think he's still out. And if that's the case, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter.
yeah, I would say like the Jaguars should lose this, and it's either going to be this week or next week that Peterson's probably be fired.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take Green Bay too. I think I just don't trust the defense for Jacksonville. Jacksonville also doesn't have a good offensive line, and the defense for the Packers is really, really, really good. And also Xavier McKinney, at this point in the season, should he be the defensive player of the year front runner? He had another good game against the Texans. He got like a sack,
Yeah.
a couple of things. Like I mean, he's got like 6 interceptions already.
Yep. He got a fumble.
Like,
And then
let me
he's
look
got
up Xavier McKinney's stats real fast.
yeah.
I got pull it up on my phone, but
It's like him and
Dexter Lawrence, Will
Dexter
Anderson's like
Lawrence and
second in odds right now. So
really.
he's second in odds right now. I mean, he's like third and he's like top in a lot of stats. He's like 10th in pressures. He's like third in sacks. He's number one in
I'm just
tackles
saying,
for loss.
I would have thought that Xavier McKinney was second, but as he's
That was I just saw the odds today because of all the Texas pitches. So he has 5 interceptions, 6 passes defended. He has a sack, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, 22 tackles. It's a really good season for 7 games in, man.
Yep.
My word.
He's been the steal for sure.
Yeah, he's been really good, but
they paid him well, and he's earned every dollar.
Green Bay has a really good defense. Now their run defense is still not amazing, but their pass defense is really good. They're very opportunistic, and they just play
they've also been without Quay Walker, so that's the other thing too.
Yeah. Next game we have is getting into the afternoon slate. Is New Orleans at the Chargers?
Yep.
Last time we saw New Orleans, they looked
out.
awful. They looked awful against the Broncos on Thursday Night Football, and they're out now. Olave, they're out. Shaheed. I think they lost another offensive lineman.
I think so.
This team
did they lose?
Also Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler got hurt too. I mean, he's playing, but he has like a hip injury. This team is just banged up. They weren't that talented to begin with. Chargers. I know that they couldn't score a touchdown on Monday Night Football last week, but I'm going to take them to win against. I just can't pick the Saints to win a game with how they look. I mean, Derek Carr is out too, obviously. So I didn't mention that, but like we mentioned, Spencer Rattler's the starter. But so I'm gonna take the Chargers. I'm not gonna take the Saints unless they play like
us.
I don't know. Even if they played y'all, I might pick y'all. Truly.
Well, we do play them in about a week. Yep, literally not this upcoming week, but next week we do.
That'll be nice. Tie. I'm calling a tie.
Tie, yeah, 3-3 tie. But yeah, Chargers should win this one. They're the more physical team. Because I like obviously Rich Sherman talked about like, oh, the team quit on them. I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it's just because they're just injured to like they're it's not very pretty. I think Dennis Allen's going to get fired the next couple of weeks. Him and Peterson are probably the next two people that's going to be fired. And it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better for the Saints. Unfortunately, I feel bad for y'all. Not really, but I feel bad for
At least you guys
some
aren't like the
fans.
only team that sucks in the division.
Exactly. Like it's pretty much it's a two-way race for the division, and we don't really have to care. So, but Chargers win.
Next game we have is a pretty solid game.
Yes.
Buffalo at Seattle. Seattle coming off of the big win against the Falcons. Buffalo coming off of the big win against the Titans. Both teams, I think, won by like 15 or 20 points. Buffalo just got Amari Cooper. It took a minute to kind of get it going, but their passing game really got going in the second half of that game. And I think that's more of what we can expect to see. And I don't want to mention it because it's going to jinx. Josh Allen hasn't thrown an interception.
I was just about to say that. Do you think this is the week?
It's going to come at some point, but Josh Allen is not throwing it. He's 12 touchdowns on passing, 0 interceptions.
Yep.
He's playing really good football. And I know he's had the game, like the Texans game, where his completion percentage was terrible.
It was
the Ravens game where they couldn't really do anything. But I mean, I think they've kind of gotten their offensive identity. They can run the ball with Ray Davis and James Cook, who's got turf toe. But now they have some more offensive weapons. I think they have a kind of full complement of weapons now. The defense is still solid. I like Seattle. I hate their offensive line. It's really bad. It got a little bit better because I think they benched right guard Stone Forsythe.
Yes. Well, no, that is right tackle.
Tackle. Yeah. Stone Forsythe. I think they benched him, so it got a little bit better, but it's not. It's still not a good offensive line. I think this game will be close because in Seattle, the 12th man. I'm going to take Buffalo to win. I think they win by like 3 or 5 points.
I agree. I think it's going to be like a battle into the fourth quarter. I'm interested to see how Geno Smith does against this defense. I think they're a very scrappy secondary. Taylor Rapp has been playing pretty well. Bernard has been playing pretty well. But I am going to go with the Bills. I think that I'm very interested to see how the Bills' offensive line is going to be going against the Seattle defensive line that's getting back players. Byron Murphy has been really good his rookie year. Boye Mafe and also Derek Hall, love him to death, Auburn man as well. Both of them have been doing really well this season. I think that they're going to be able to frustrate Josh Allen. I think they're going to be able to get Josh Allen to throw his first interception. But I do think the Bills are going to be able to pull it out. But it's going to be a great game.
Yeah. Then we have your team, Carolina, going to Denver.
Yep.
Who are you taking?
I'm taking the Broncos. I mean, I'm not going to take the Panthers, and I haven't taken them all year, because I haven't felt confident enough to take them. But after last week, I'm hoping. I'm just hoping for better things, and we're going to get some much better defense. So our offense shouldn't do well either. Our defensive front is banged up, and we cannot have any pressure.
It was
So
banged up and not talented already.
Exactly. And so now we have to depend on not having turnovers. And when we do, we shoot ourselves in the foot because then we feel like we have to play a hero ball, and that is not our MO. So we're gonna lose. Bo Nix is probably gonna have a pretty decent day. If he can just sit back and relax and not have to do anything, especially because we cannot stop the run. So start Javonte Williams. Um, but yeah, it's probably going to be another bad game, and Sean Payton gets the best of the Panthers once again.
I'm going to take Carolina or Denver too. No. I'm taking Denver. Carolina. Good thing is it's a good defensive line class.
That is my only saving grace.
That's all I can say. Denver is they're playing good football, good defense. They've got a good enough offense, I think, to take advantage of this defense of Carolina. So I'm going to take Denver. Not like super. It's just Carolina's just not a good football team right now, and that's okay. Just get some high picks. You've got multiple second-round picks. So
we
no, because you traded
the Rams.
Yeah. I forgot you traded yours too.
So I really do hope that the Rams just tear it down, trade away everybody, please. Just give us
But next game we have is Kansas City at Las Vegas. Kansas City still undefeated.
And they're going to be undefeated again.
Patrick Mahomes is playing so bad. Like I actually so bad. He's just not playing like good football, and the Chiefs just aren't fun to watch. And I
No.
hate this. Okay, the thing that pissed me off last week against the Niners was that everyone's talked about it. Was the one where he like almost steps out of bounds and then goes up the field. The
Yeah.
reason is because if there's like multiple, if you hit him in bounds, it's 15-yard penalty. Because they've set this precedent, you can't ever hit a quarterback, even if
Especially not
they're
Mahomes.
going out of bounds, and you hit him. And if they hit him out of bounds, it's a 15-yard penalty. And if you don't hit him, he's going to do that, and he's going to go to the sideline for 22 yards. It's so stupid. And I guarantee you that he's going to try it again this week. He's going to get laid out in bounds, and they're going to throw a flag. And then people are going to be like, well, what the hell are you supposed to do? And it's going to be so stupid, and it's so annoying. And I hate the Chiefs, and I hate how they play football, and I hate their fans. And they are the worst, and I can't wait for the Ravens to blow them out in a rematch.
Can we just say their defense is good though?
With that said, Steve Spagnuolo is playing really good, are calling really good plays. Their defense is really good. They're going to beat the Raiders because the Raiders suck.
Yes,
and they will move.
We beat
to
them.
What are they going to move to? 7-0, 8-0. They'll
They'll
move to 7-0.
Yep.
They'll move to 7-0. But I still don't think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, and I don't care because Patrick Mahomes has 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And he's still somehow number 1 in betting odds for defense for MVP.
No way he's number 1 still. No way. With the way that the Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and Josh Allen, and Jared Goff, and anybody else is playing, is he still the number 1 to win MVP?
Last updated October 17th. Patrick Mahomes is second.
Okay, well, hey, you take that back, sure. We can move on to the next game. Because like I said, the Chiefs are going to win this one. It's inevitable unless Christmas it comes early for the Raiders, and they somehow screw up their tank.
The next game we have is the final one of the afternoon slate. Is Chicago at Washington.
Yep.
This one is hard to pick right now because we don't know what is Jaden Daniels' status.
Right now he's like
rib
week
injury.
To week.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna play. Like, so we record this on Tuesday, so we don't know if he's gonna play because they could announce on like Friday he's not gonna play.
Yeah.
Or they could announce on Friday that he is gonna play. I'm gonna say he doesn't play, and so I'm gonna pick Chicago to win, coming off of a bye week, a good defense. I still think Commanders can keep it kind of close. But I'm going to take Chicago because I'm going to assume Jaden Daniels isn't playing, and Chicago coming out of a bye week. I think they've been able to game plan for this for 2 weeks. So I'm going to take Chicago to win.
I'm taking Chicago as well. This will be, if they do win, this will be their first win against a team that has more than 1 win. Literally all of their wins have been against teams that have only 1 win, which is kind of surprising. But I think that the difference in this game is going to be basically the Bears defense. I think the Bears defense is going to frustrate the offensive line of the Commanders.
No, the Rams have 2 wins, you liar.
Oh, the Rams did win. Sorry about that. I forgot that they beat the Raiders this past week.
Yeah, you lied to the people.
Well, going into last week. Sorry. But I think that that should be the difference. I think even with Jane Daniels, it'll make it closer. But I think that the Bears.
Also, the Jags have 2 wins now too. So you're a double liar.
Well, oh well. Anyways,
sorry.
Still not against good teams. This will be the first team that is actually good that they'll win. They can get some of that, some people are trying to give the Bears hype right now. I'm still pushing back just a little bit because I'm like, until they beat a good team, then I'll give them the hype. I did the same exact thing for the Dolphins and the Cowboys last year. I was like, I'm not buying in until they actually beat a winning team. And then they played against each other, and that was their only winning team. They actually did well against each other. But I'm taking AJ. No, okay. This is my roommate's cat. But I'm going to be taking the Bears to win.
And then we have the Sunday night game, Dallas at San Francisco. Dallas is coming off of a bye. San Francisco is coming off of a loss where they lost Brandon Ayuk for the season.
Yes.
Debo got hurt as well. You got your cat there. I really don't know who to pick here. I can't pick Dallas to beat San Francisco because they never do it, especially in San. I'm going to take San Francisco, even though I don't feel confident because I don't really know how you can about either of these teams right now.
Like it's one of the games where I'm just like
Like I wouldn't be shocked if Dallas won.
I'm gonna go with the fact that Dallas has had a bye week. That is the only reason why I'm going with them. Because honestly, I think it's going to be a terrible game. I do think it's going to be a terrible game. I think that because is Micah Parsons being back?
I'll look.
Because I think that could help at least something on the right side. Because like the 49ers offensive line is outside of Trent Williams is not that good. Um, I do think that Jordan Mason should have a better game, especially going against pretty porous run defense. But I'm hoping that the Cowboys can
The
get
game time
somewhat of it
decision
together.
for him and Deron Bland.
Okay. I'm hoping that they can get some of their players back. I'm hoping that they can finally get something together because this is crap. This is crap Dallas Cowboys football that we haven't seen since Dak got injured. So I'm gonna go with the fact that they don't. This will give the jolt to the Cowboys, and then they can talk about this for the whole entire week. It's just like, hey, the Cowboys finally beat the 49ers, and they're back after the bye week. They got back together, and that's going to be the storyline. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys, but I do not feel
I
confident
just
at
can't.
all.
I can't pick against San Fran against the
Yeah,
Cowboys, even though I don't feel confident about this game at all. Finally, we got a Monday night game. Honestly, I think this is going to be a good Monday night game. For some reason, like you look at it on paper and it really shouldn't. But New York, the Giants going to Pittsburgh, I think this is going to be a solid Monday night game. I shouldn't say good. I think it's going to be a
yeah.
solid Monday night game. I think the Steelers are going to win. Um, but I think you're going to have a really good Malik Neighbors game. He's going to bounce back because obviously that was his first week back with the concussion. The Steelers, I don't know. Maybe they stay hot with Russell Wilson. It's a good defense. I think that this could honestly be a higher scoring game than what people think, and I'm going to
Mm.
take the Steelers to win 27-23.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't have it that high scoring, but I did have the Steelers winning. But I do think it's going to be down to whose offensive line doesn't get as beaten up by this defensive line. I think like the Giants obviously are leading the league in sacks. I think they're going to be able to get some pressure on Russell Wilson. So it'll be interesting to see how he does against pressure. I think that the Steelers should obviously get pressure on this Giants offensive line, especially with Andrew Thomas being out and whatnot. Um, I'm interested to see is Tyron Tracy going to have a good game? He had a good game against the Bengals, and then obviously going against the Eagles, who have a much better defense. I was like, I'm interested to see how it's going to go against this Philly defense. But ultimately, I have Philly winning 23-17. I think in the fourth quarter, um, Boss was going to kick 2 field goals to make it a 6-point game, and Daniel Jones can't deliver.
I hope I hope
That's my
Boswell
prediction.
hits a lot of field goals. I have
I
him
know for
in
your
this.
for your sake, because I need you to win this week.
I hope. I mean, I'm playing Josh.
I know I need to win this week and him lose because I have more points than him, and I'm gonna jump him.
Yeah, I mean, I am the number one points haver in our fantasy league by quite a bit.
Oh no, trust me, I understand. You had 170 against me like 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4
I
weeks
have
ago.
like 200 more points against me than William does, and he's in first place. I'm in second place,
Yeah,
but I have like 100 more points scored than he does. But it's okay. I'm still 4 and I'm still 5-2. I've got Josh this week. I'll be projected to win. I'll see if I actually win or not. Hopefully, I do.
I should win
Um,
this week as well.
hopefully.
Hopefully,
Hey, I want. I just don't want to play in the playoffs, But
yeah,
I think I'll have the 2 seed probably in the playoffs because I'll have the points against anybody. But no
yeah.
one else knows our fantasy league besides us. We don't really talk about that. But this was week 8 predictions. We're gonna next week for week 9. We're gonna talk and see exactly what we're gonna do. We might be implementing a recap type video. Too. Not totally sure how that's going to go, and we'll start doing playoff picture stuff starting around week 10. And we might start doing that, I guess, weekly, or not weekly, maybe bi-weekly, like, after you've had 2 games to kind of show. But we'll probably start doing playoff picture stuff around week 10. So that's 2 weeks from now, where we kind of break down, I guess, the wild card seeding, stuff like that, how people
Who's in the
stack
hunt?
up. Yeah, and how people like remaining schedule stacks up and stuff like that. So we're gonna kind of figure it out. So we might start having multiple videos out, but not totally sure how that's gonna work out yet. We talked a little bit before here, and we'll talk over the week about it. But anything else you got to add, Ryan?
Panthers, please just show me something. That's all I want. I just want something positive. I don't want to win
Graham,
at this point.
To the Carolina Panthers.
I just want something positive. At least give me my fantasy points, Chuba. Chuba, just keep on doing what you're doing.
I need Jonathan Brooks to be good because I have him on my IR spot for the entire season. So, yeah. But anyway, thank y'all for listening, and see y'all in the next one. Bye.
Bye.